This question, number 5 of Logical Reasoning drill set number 2 from lawhub.lsac.org, is a particularly annoying question type because of this word accept. And we're going to use two colors of highlight to address the accept in the affirmative and make sure we don't get confused as we're working through the task. So we read that question stem as always first. And I've just got the orange selected for now. And we read, each of the following, if true, provides additional evidence in favor of the astronomer's hypothesis. So we're looking for additional evidence in favor of whatever the hypothesis is. And then I'm going to come and highlight this except so that I don't lose sight of the fact that I'm going to choose the option that doesn't strengthen the astronomer's hypothesis. It is incredibly important that you do it this way so that you don't lose sight of what you're being asked to do and accidentally choose something that does strengthen just because that's the easier way to address these problems. Because it can be hard to recognize something that isn't supporting because you're not technically being asked to weaken the argument. You're just looking for something that doesn't strengthen. And so you have to be careful, but it is generally easier to identify what does strengthen and then just pick whichever answer choice didn't proactively provide that additional evidence in favor of whatever the astronomer's hypothesis is in the end. So I'm going to just pick back up with my orange, and we're going to use that to highlight the conclusion, the astronomer's hypothesis, whatever it is. So we start with the paragraph. Over centuries, astronomers have reported seeing bright flashes of colored light emanating from various moon sites. Some astronomers suggest that large lunar craters have suffered landslides, in which material slumped into the cavities from the crater walls or from the high mountains adjacent to some craters. They hypothesize that dust or volatile gases rising after such landslides account for many of the sightings. So, the nice thing about this question task is it told me what the conclusion is, so I don't have to worry about getting confused about whether the second sentence or the final sentence is the conclusion. But I'm probably going to come and highlight just some astronomers. So when I read back the highlight, it says some astronomers hypothesize that dust or volatile gases rising after such landslides, meaning the landslides from the lunar craters and the crater walls and all that stuff that we didn't highlight, counts for these sightings of bright flashes. So we've got our conclusion highlighted, including its referent, and I'm going to keep the orange highlighted because I'm going to use that to highlight when we have information that strengthens. So choice A, the largest lunar landslides probably took place prior to the development of telescopes. Well, we're talking about large lunar craters. We're talking about some of these craters having suffered landslides, but we don't actually talk about the largest lunar landslides at all. So I'm going to switch my highlight color and I'm just going to highlight largest lunar landslides because if I was looking for something that was irrelevant as a reason to eliminate, I'd probably pick this and get rid of the answer as incorrect if we were looking to actually just strengthen this. But with this strange exception phrasing, choice A may end up being our correct answer. So now moving to choice B, we're going to consider whether choice B's evidence would support that hypothesis about the landslides accounting for the bright lights from the moon. So choice B, the low gravity of the moon would allow dust and gas to rise to significant heights above the moon's surface. Well, we need that dust to get high above the moon's surface in order to see it. So this does strengthen, but it also needs to be eliminated because we're looking for the exception based on the question task. Choice C, volatile gases are known to exist close to the moon's surface. Well, it is dust or volatile gases that were hypothesized. So the volatile gases being known to exist would in fact strengthen the hypothesis. So once again, we'd eliminate choice C. Next, with choice D, dust in the atmosphere of a planetary body is known to reflect sunlight. Well, how do you get something to be brightly seen in space? It's through sunlight. So the dust being able to reflect the sunlight would lead to it being visible. So again, we can eliminate choice D as an answer that would strengthen the hypothesis. And lastly, choice E, the contours of certain of the moon's craters show signs of having sustained landslides. Well, the landslides came from the craters. So if we've got craters that show signs of having sustained landslides, that too would strengthen the hypothesis. And the correct answer, of course, is indeed A. And you can see how you get tricked very easily you'll end up eliminating A as irrelevant, but because it's irrelevant and has no clear direct impact on the conclusion, that's why choice A is the correct answer. That does not provide additional evidence as requested by the exception task of this problem.